You're listening to Community Voice PHL, an award-winning talk show that informs, engages, and inspires. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Community Voice PHL Talk Show. Community Voice is an award-winning talk show that highlights the value-based programs and services that people of color are doing all across the nation. We'll have inspiring stories about amazing people who's working to make a positive difference in their communities. We'll inform you about what's happening in the city, and we'll have those amazing individuals come and talk about the great work that they're doing to get caring and prosperous community built all across the nation and right here in the tri-state area. So thanks again for listening to Community Voice PHL Talk Show, a show that informs, engages, and inspires. And if you're tuning in, you're listening to WPPM LP 106.5. And as always, we're excited to be on the air with you. Have an amazing guest who's going to be talking about the Philadelphia is a city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. And this guest that we have on today, he truly epitomizes that in everything that he does and the work that he, gives out to the city. He has the energy and excitement that's really going to be inspiring. So I know after this episode, everyone's really going to be understanding why his organization has a name that it is named. And I'm not going to share that just yet. I'm going to wait till we actually bring him on the air to talk about that. And I know many of you are looking like, where's Nick at? He's on his way. He's going to be part of the show. He's just, running late, doing the good work that he's doing. So all of you who are following and watching and listening, know that Nick's going to be here any minute now. I know that some of y'all probably just listened to the show just for him, and y'all probably going to be ready to tune out. But hold on. He's on his way. So don't tune us out and don't turn us off because he is on his way. Talking about on the way, Philly Cam, we're going to be entering our fund drive, our fundraising for, supporting all the great programs that's happening here at Philly Cam. We want to thank each and every last one of you for always being able to consistently support the Philly Cam radio. Again, from all the other programs, Community Voice being one of them. You want to make sure you have an opportunity to go to our website and donate to Philly Cam Radio, so public access radio, people-powered media. And the reason why I share is because it's important for us to have this platform to continually share media insights, creative arts, information, life skill development, all those things, and music, all those great things and programs that are happening here at Philly Cam through public access radio is because of the donations that we receive from our fund drive. So when you have an opportunity, go to the website phillycam.org, click the donate button, and donate to help support public access radio so that we can continue to have this great programming going on the airways that I know you're always taking part of. And if you're listening for the first time on the airways with us, we want to thank you for listening and tuning in to Community Voice PHL Talk Show. Following us on Instagram is the best way you can find us. That's where we land at the most. Because it's Philly Cam, the Instagram is Community Voice PHL. See, I'm always in the mode for promoting Philly Cam. Want to make sure y'all know where we land at. But our Instagram is Community Voice PHL. And we do have Facebook, but, like I always share, we're not on Facebook as much. And folk always asking me, hey, yeah, you should get back on Facebook and do some videos of that nature. And we will definitely consider that as the summertime rolls around and we start doing some workout in the community because the weather will be better. We'll start to ramp up our Facebook. So if you want to still follow us on Facebook, though, it's Community Voice PHL Talk Show as well. If you have any questions about anything that we share on this episode, or you check out our YouTube page and have any questions about those episodes, send us an email to communityvoicephl@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to respond back and let you know what's happening and how you can be supportive of us and how we can be supportive of you at the same time. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Community Voice PHL Talk Show, and our Apple podcast, Community Voice PHL Talk Show. It's all the same. It's consistent in that matter. One of the main things we want to just lead off this episode is to talk about how we can make a difference. Making a difference is one of the most impactful legacy building things we can do in our life. Oftentimes we talk about, we want to secure the bag and make the money. And I get it. We live in an economic capitalistic society where there's a lot of things that are financially have to be taken care of. And we need to be mindful of how to be fiscally responsible with our money and make the good money that we need to sustain a lifestyle we want to have. Nothing wrong with that. We all need that. We all should have that. But what I'm encouraging us to do is something a little bit aside that, which is build a legacy, make a difference. And when you make a difference, that's more impactful than making a dollar, because when you do that, you're letting others people know you care more than just about yourself. Because when we make a dollar, and if we can be honest, right? And I want to say this in this way, and again, my email is communityvoicephl@gmail.com. But if we're making a dollar, a lot of that is for us, right? It really is. I mean, if you talk about the clothes that we have, the cars that we drive, and all, a lot of that is for us. And again, nothing wrong with that. But I really want to lend on a point is that if we think about making a difference, that's what we can do for others. That's the legacy we can leave. That really shows that we're caring more than just about ourselves, because I believe in self-care. That's the best care, right? We need to have that. But when we're looking to make a difference, that's when we're looking at how can I help somebody else out? With all the money we make, all the influence that we have, all the status that we achieve, all that's right. Then how can we take that and say, how can I help someone else who doesn't have that, who may need that support? So making a dollar is good and it's great. And I hope all of our listeners, and myself included, gets to that $1 million status or whatever status you want economically. But I also hope that our listeners, and myself included, continue to not just make a dollar, but make a difference. Because that's what's really going to be the impactful thing that people will really remember you by. Because look, at the end of the day, if we're not mindful, and I'll use a sports analogy, you have athletes who are making $50-60 million a year. And if one athlete makes 61, another athlete get mad because he's only making 60. Think about that, right? But the real thing about what I really wanted to stress is that what money will always be the wrong object to chase. When you have enough to sustain your lifestyle, when you have enough to really be able to do all the things that you need to do, we should start to think about how do we now make a difference with that and not just dollars. So email this communityvoicephl@gmail.com. I know a lot of y'all are going to have some thoughts and feedback about that, but I'm okay with that because I'm in the space of being comfortable with knowing that I'm making a difference and not just the dollars. Because when you make a difference, the dollars will follow. I can believe that, and you should believe it as well. And with that being the case, I have a guest on the show. Again, he's a phenomenal community organizer, a longtime Philadelphian who traces his culture to the islands of Puerto Rico. After close to a decade of inside the classroom work he's done, this person has, dramatically changed the trajectory of the work that he's doing with the help of his students. He decided to create a 501c3 nonprofit organization, We Love Philly. And he also offers apprenticeship courses to help high school students and graduate students get their degrees, graduate and get their degrees. And after graduating and getting their degrees, he then begins to wage this battle on uplifting the name and brand of Philadelphia as a director of the new organization that he has. And he also is board director of the Nelson Foundation, the Penn Treaty Museum, and the Philadelphia chapter of the LULAC. This guy is doing the work. So thank you for being on Community Voice, my good friend Carlos. Am I pronouncing the last name right? Aponte?
Perfect.
There you go. Thank you for being on Community Voice PHL Talk Show, Carlos.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to the audience. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
and yeah, thank you for the words. All I kept thinking about in your opening monologue was just bars. Like that's what I say to the young people whenever I have those light bulb moments.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you figured it out.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, appreciate that. Well, give our listening audience and viewers a little bit about yourself, because I gave you a brief bio, but I know you have scores of information that you can add to that about who you are and what makes you passionate about the work that you're doing.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So Carlos Aponte, was born and raised in Philadelphia. Been here the majority of my life. Super passionate about being of service to the city in which I was born. I think I came to that realization because a lot of the pain that I had growing up was centered around where I was born and what I lacked in a turbulent childhood, etc. And I think when I eventually came back and went to college at Temple, I had the realization that I didn't have to carry that book bag full of hurt and pain with me anymore. And that actually I'm blessed to have had experienced it, because I'm actually supposed to do something about it. And I had to experience what I experienced, because it will give me an inside track on how to come up with the solution with the help of others. So like just those mindset shifts really helped propel me to do the work that we do now at We Love Philly, and helped me do the work of just being a teacher in the opportunity network of the district for almost 10 years.
So when you were in the classroom talking to the students, was it you seeing a need, or was that seeing already there? And when you saw the students, it just kind of brought like breath to it in a way.
Yeah, so twofold. Uh, First, with your monologue, you spoke on self-care. I was noticing in the classroom that the young people, when I would have certain interactions with them, they triggered me, right? And they like woke something up inside of me. I think a lot of it's not talked about in the teacher profession is like you're in school your whole life. So like if you don't like go and seek help for maybe something that happened to you in high school or grade school or elementary school, you're back in the environment in which it happened. And you might like have a short temper or might say something you regret. Because that was, and who you're saying it to might be like a young person, but what you're really doing is yelling at the younger version of you because you didn't handle that. And like, so that happened early in my teaching career, like that first year of teaching where you're figuring out, and that was like, oh, I need therapy. But then also being in the classroom, and specifically with the population that I worked with my whole career, were 16 to 21-year-olds who were left behind by their neighborhood school. So they would come back and try to get a diploma in an accelerated fashion. And once I started to pour into myself and really start to see the things about me that I needed to heal and forgive, I was able to then relate and understand the perspectives of the young person who also experienced similar hurt, and I could start to see it from that different lens. And then once that happened, and it was just all in, like, what can I do outside of teaching history? What programs can I bring in? What after school programs can I start? What, maybe it's exercise, right? I started a running club. We trained like 50 young people to do Broad Street Run over 4 or 5 years. And it wasn't really until taking them out of the classroom, right, and into the community that I saw how much quicker their learning happened, because that guard of like, hey, school is not where learning happens, or hey, I might have experienced A, B, or C in school, so now it's just like I need to protect myself. And once I got them out of that space, it was just like green flag, go. So yeah, that was the inspiration to build We Love Philly.
So and I find that fascinating because my wife, she's in the educational space, and she did some time as a, I don't want to say did some time, that sound like but she was a classroom teacher at one time as well. And I'm asking you this because do you think that there's an experiential learning process that really opens youth up to maybe understanding life and education in a different environment? Because you mentioned you were teaching in the classroom, but then we took them outside. It was like when the light bulb came on. So do you think that there should be a different model of educational curriculum development in some space?
Yeah, I mean, if we're what is, I'm also hearing like, what is the solution to the educational system? Right? I think it's a bunch of things. I think first things first, that is the easiest and quickest solution to a lot of the issues is like, how do you sit down with the young people you serve and really help them define what their story of self is? Because once they really defined what their story of self is, you can then listen to what they want and what their needs are. And if they're telling you something and you're an educator and you think you can build that into the curriculum in some fun and creative way, that's like lowest hanging fruit. You need to be doing that as a teacher. If not, then you need to really get out of the classroom, in my opinion. But two, yes, I think like that, getting them out of the culture that is a school, at least for me and the population that I dealt with, the word school to them was like a dirty word. And it was just like, learning doesn't happen here. There's always fights. The teacher can't control. I've had 3 teachers in a year, 2 principals in 1 year and 2 years. And it's just like, we are the next line of a living example of what a loving, caring adult should look like. And that's a legit responsibility if there might be a lack of that either at home or within the internal family. So like, that's another thing. If you, and as a teacher, at least in Philadelphia, aren't ready to step into that role, you also should not be teaching, in my opinion. And then, yeah, when it just comes to the system itself, you just need people who are ready to be all in and ready to collaborate and ready to really center the voices of the young people, and then just move mountains to make it a reality, but then also hold them accountable, which I think is a whole nother issue.
Hold the students accountable.
Hold the students accountable, right?
But do you think, I think that students want to be held accountable in some regards.
They 100% crave being held accountable. I think it's just, I think it's like they crave to be held accountable, but it needs to be done in a empathetic way, not like a "I told you so, I'm judging you" accountability. It's like a, hey, we're doing this together. Can we both admit that this isn't the values and the norms and the rules that we laid out to say that this is what a loving space looks like? And then my job is to hold this mantle and hold this standard and ensure that we're all reaching it. And if you're not reaching it, then maybe you're not supposed to be part of this tribe.
See, why you leave the classroom, man?
Well,
teachers like you, man, in the
we're doing it, and we love Philly. Like we are outside of the classroom. We serve over 20 schools around the city. They send us young people to our space in West Philly, and we're doing what we're saying, that what we're talking about right now.
So we love Philly, love the name, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what you do. But when you talk about we love Philly, there's some people who don't understand that, meaning that if they look at from the outside narrative, or even the narrative that sometimes is about our city, the crime, the poverty, all the racism and whatever you want to call it, other isms, and yet you come up with something, we love Philly. Folk are like, what's that about? How can you love a city that's, all this and this and that and whatnot? So what do you say about that? How do you encompass that with the energy of the positivity that comes through Philadelphia?
Yes, I would say, and that was sort of like the inspiration. I was on Facebook, at least for the name. I was on Facebook one day, and I was watching like a cut together minute-long video with the Action News theme song, dun 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 dun, dun, right? And all it was just like the pure mayhem of Philadelphia. Cars on fire, right? Like people breaking windows, and it was just like trying to make a joke, like, this is Philly. And I'm like, why is this like the representation of our city, right? And it goes back to even before I was born, right? The billboard, Philadelphia is not as bad as Philadelphians say it is. But in my career as teaching, and in the early days of We Love Philly, I learned quickly. I spent, not exaggerating, an entire year, every single weekend, volunteering at a nonprofit organization to learn all that I could possibly learn and soak in about, like, what is the issue, what's going on, how are these organizations structured. And by doing that, I just saw all of the amazing people that are on the ground in the city doing the work, all the love that is going on, all of the relationships that are being built, all of the communities that were already present that didn't get the shine that other things did in the city. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. So like, how do we all come together to build this tribe, build this community, and then funnel young people into here to really help them change their narrative, right? I feel like it's just been a narrative even since, right? Since I was young, and probably before that, like, you got to leave the hood in order to make it. And it's like, actually, like, what if you were born in this space because you're supposed to do something about it? And the only reason you've experienced that pain is because you are supposed to be part of the solution, but you're not going to be part of the solution if you're not feeling what the problem is. So like, how do we change that narrative and bring us together to like create a story of us?
And that's powerful too, because often the thought is, you want to leave the city or wherever environment you're at. And I get that, because there's a healing portion of that. But it's like the hero's journey. The hero's journey is, they come to self-actualization and then they return back.
Yes.
Right. And the returning back is part of what you're saying, and part of also what you're saying is that you don't even really have to leave.
Yeah.
You can be planted where you're at, and be blossomed and groomed, right? I mean,
so give us some ways that you've noticed where it's like, all right, I'm not a victim here. And I really can do something about this, because I think that takes that self-realization that Jeff was talking about. And a lot of people, you got to do certain work to even get there.
Yes. So say it one more time, because I agreed with you at the same time as I was listening.
Yeah. So basically asking, how did you get there personally?
How did I get there
Yeah.
personally? I got there personally by really going. I think step one for me was finally realizing, right, that my actions actually cause negative feelings in others. With the trauma I grew up with, I didn't really think that my actions affected anyone emotionally because I didn't feel a lot emotionally, and I just like didn't have that like loving like, this is the consequence, you're gonna lose this relationship. But to me it was like, yeah, well, they didn't really care about me anyway, because like what's caring? Like I don't feel any different than I normally, like the normal numbness that I usually feel. And it wasn't really until like I got in with a community of people who were just like overly loving, and you're just like, right, that normal Philly initial reaction is just like, what do you want out of me? Or what's going on
Why
here?
are you saying hello to me?
Yeah, what's your ulterior motive? But then when it's consistent, and then also when it's empathetically accountable, where it's like, hey, I might lash out, and someone, like I mentioned earlier, is like, hey, these aren't our values, this isn't what we're about. And if you want to be in this feeling that you're feeling of like feeling like you belong, then like this is what it is, or you gotta go. And if you do go though, like that doesn't mean the door's shut forever. To your point, like if you come back and you can actually admit you were wrong and ask for forgiveness, then that's what love really is. So like I think it started there. And then when it started there and I had those realizations, then it was just like my hero's journey of going to apologize to everyone that I hurt along the way, and my self-destructive path of just trying to trying not to feel and trying to hurt others before they hurt me. So it's really like, all right, like I need to go ask for forgiveness. I need to just do my best. And then now that I'm given this second chance, how do I move forward, and how do I create an environment to also help other people who might have not felt loved to like actually, take that first step and actually really feel and realize the importance and just like the interconnectedness that love brings us all together.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's like I said, it starts with that story of self. Like everything I said right now is what I believe, but that's the story that I created through therapy, through community, etc. But now that the power that came with me defining it and me being able to put all of these pieces together really let me then join other communities to say, hey, this is how I'm showing up. This is all me is vulnerable. Now, how can I fit into the story of whatever this community is trying to build and play my part? And then eventually, like, when you start to take action, right, it's just like, what's our story of now, right? Now that I run a nonprofit, it's like, what are we doing in the next 3 months? How does that align with what we are as We Love Philly? And how does that align with who we are as individuals? And how can we keep each at the center of what we're doing? And then also, right, be at the service of young people and help them build that.
It's a consistent, ongoing.
Yeah. But it's fun if you like legit are like in love with it. Like that's like the end. Like that's the energy. Like
people going to hear it in your voice and see it in the video.
I've never seen somebody so excited about healing themselves. The biggest smile on his face right now.
It's the like talking about the ultimate weight off your shoulder when you just stop. Just like blaming yourself for everything or blaming others, and you're just like, oh, like it really is just like, how do I love myself? And then now that I've figured it out, what is the way to meet the right people and connect the right people, or step aside when I know I'm not supposed to be the one? But like the main journey is like, how do we all get to this space where we can lead with this so we can all build together?
And that's a big one too. You mentioned step out of the way when you know you're not the one, because sometimes in the space of community work, for as great as we are, we often think that, or if we're not careful, we subconsciously think that we have to be the one because this person came before us and we've solved problems before. So we have to be the one for this one, when it's not. It's often, let me get out the way.
And that's the wisdom of young people, because they taught me that, right? Like I had that cape on at some point in my career, and they pulled me aside. They were like, mister, you can't save everyone.
Mm.
And this person is messing up the vibe of the whole space.
Yeah.
They got to go.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening when they're not talking sweet to you, trying to manipulate you and acting like they ain't doing nothing wrong.
Right.
And they all came to me and I was like, damn,
that's
so real. And then,
it comes. Listen, as I shared with you earlier, the 25 minutes before it'll be gone, and we'll be ready to wrap up the show. But when we first met this evening, you came into the studio. You asked me a question, and I want to know: is that a question that you use to open people up, to have them realize a level of positivity? You said, "What was one great thing that happened to you today?"
Yeah.
Is that what you often?
I do that for two reasons. One, to bring people in the present, because I know how quick our brains go and what we're all thinking about and what just happened or what do I have to do. So just that simple moment makes you pause, stop, reflect. But then also what was the best part is now you are literally just through your thought manifesting positive energy to come into you. So that is how we start our conversation. So then it can just flow from there. And even if you're having a bad day, if I ask you, you'll stop and think about at least the good thing. And if it's early in the morning, it's what are you looking forward to?
And I love that. And also, as you begin to wrap up, share with our listening and viewing audience how they can get in contact with you at We Love Philly and support the work that you're doing, because you're doing some phenomenal things. And often, as me and Nick say, the half an hour, we got to find a way to make it an hour, because we get to a good conversation and we have to get ready to wrap up. But how can they reach out to you, stay in contact with you, support you in your great work?
Yes. Thank you. If you are a parent of a 16 to 24-year-old, or if you are a 16 to 24-year-old, go to our website, welovephilly.org. You can sign up for one of our state-certified pre-apprenticeship programs in digital marketing and in cybersecurity. 6-month program. We'll get you the credentials. We'll put a little over $4,000 in your pocket in that span. And then also those sorts of conversations you just listened to, we spend an hour. Talk about needing that hour. We do that for an hour every single day for those 6 months, because that's how really important it is, right? To build your new identity and who you want to be as you traverse and move forward. And then, and all the other things, Instagram, We Love Philly, social medias, it's all We Love Philly. Donate, volunteer, time, treasure, talent. All of our young people get one-on-one mentors until they graduate high school, until they complete the program. So if you want to be a mentor, come sign up. If you want to donate, but I mean, the money's, like you said, the money, but like, to your point, I'm in 100% agree with you. I want your time and your talent. Like I want you to come in and make a difference, because these relationships and your impact on a young person is going to outgain or the $5,000 grant we might get somewhere. If I can get 5 people who are really all in and can change 5 lives, like, that 5,000's, okay.
That's the gravy on the top. But listen, Carlos, we're definitely going to have you back on. You have anything coming up real quick that's going to be happening with We Love Philly?
We just had our gala this past Saturday. It was
we missed
awesome.
We missed it.
What is coming up? We are, actually, this Saturday, May 10th, we are having an Elevate Youth event. So we'll have about 15 different apprenticeship programs, trade unions, non-traditional apprenticeship programs, all at our space at One Art Community Center, 1431 North 52nd Street, from 10 to 2. If you know anyone looking for a job, you want a career change, or you just want to check out our space and come meet the young people at We Love Philly, the staff, and myself, we will be there just trying to help our community.
And we'll have that information posted on the show notes so you can come out and support Carlos and that great work. Appreciate you, my brother, and thanks again for being on Community Voice PHL. Nick, what do you got? Final thoughts before we wrap up, my friend?
Final thoughts. Carlos talked a little bit about accountability. I want people to really sit with themselves and figure out the ways that you can be accountable. Asking for forgiveness is great and taking that accountability, but how can you think of ways that you can forgive yourself? Because a lot of times we follow that guilt and we hold on to it a little too long. So let's think of ways that we can release that.
And that's the word. That's the word for today. Appreciate those final words, Nick. And remember, this is Community Voice. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on social media. All of it's the same. Community Voice PHL Talk Show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Apple Podcast, Community Voice PHL Talk Show. And remember, if it's happening in your community, we need to hear your voice. Peace, and we are out.
Peace.